I felt in the first half, obviously scoring early was great, and then I felt we let them back in the game a little bit. Defensively, we weren't solving what we needed to in the first half, and I felt in the second half we did that a lot better. And I think we found the spaces that they were giving us, that in the first half they still were giving us them, but we didn't find them well enough. And I felt that we really stopped their threat in the second half. And I think obviously for both teams, 3 games in a week is tough. And I'm just really proud of the players because I felt like we looked fit, we looked athletic, we looked like we could sustain that, and not making substitutions until whatever it was, the 17th minute. I think it's a true testament to where our group's at the minute.
Was there any concern after Rain FC get the goal in the 41st minute that the momentum was going to swing in their favor, then carry into halftime and coming out the second half strong?
Yeah, I think that halftime came at a good time for us to solve those things, and we spoke about really specific things that we needed to be better at, and I think that we did that. We had a game plan that we were sticking to in the first half, but it wasn't working the way we wanted it to. We stuck with the same game plan in the second half, but we just tweaked a few things to make it more difficult for them in certain areas, and I felt that enabled us to get Amy and Kristen, Stengel, and then Vero late in the game in the areas we wanted them to.
From your tactical box, were you surprised at how much Lamonto was able to get the ball and just march down the field Vero just to get that goal?
Yeah, I didn't. I've sort of I black out a little bit in games, and I can't really remember it. But I'll say this: when these guys came to Utah in the end of June, Jess scored goals similar to that, and I think sometimes it's just the player on the ball does things that the other people aren't sure what's going to happen. But I'll need to watch it back really to have a true opinion on that.
Coming off the Wednesday match where Kristen scored a brace, looks like Rain was able to kind of contain her a little bit. But thankfully, obviously in your case, Amy, Katie, and Lou were able to step up.
Yeah.
What do you think was working for Rain in terms of containing Kristen Press? Because obviously she's playing on some incredible form.
Yeah, I thought in the first half they did a really good job on Kristen, and I think having the back four pretty solid like they did and not pushing their outside backs on like they often do, contained her, and we knew that was going to be the case. But I think, and it's hard for Kristen and Amy because they have to be patient in these types of games because that space isn't just going to open up. But I felt like in the second half she got a lot more space to play. We didn't find her as much as maybe we wanted to, but I think that's the best thing about our team right now, that if you stop Kristen, it creates space for Stengel and A-Rod and Vero and Lowe today. And if you stop those guys or any of those guys, then it might open up a little bit of space for Kristen. And I think for us, it's about recognising that and utilising that. And some days it's going to be Kristen that gets the ton of space and A-Rod's occupied, or vice versa. And I think they both worked really well today on that, and they were patient and they stayed in the game. And even late in the game, I felt like Kristen was still really a threat whenever she got the ball.
This is your team's first visit up to Cheney Stadium.
Yeah.
What was the environment in the playing surface for you? Obviously, speaking from experience with so many years familiar with Memorial Stadium.
For me personally, I'm great. I'm really thankful that I don't have to go to Memorial. It was an emotional place for me to go back to, and I think that the Rain move in here meant for me personally, it was like that's not my team anymore. So I think turning up here, I said to the players before the game, I had a little bit of PTSD after the 2016 baseball field game. Like I felt like I was in the same place. But I think the surface at one end here is beautiful. I think the surface at the other end is difficult. I think that's just reality. And obviously we'd prepared to be on a smaller field. And you just have to know when you come to a smaller field, which Memorial was the same, you've got to play in a certain way to negate what that brings. But yeah, it definitely felt different being here than it did going to Memorial, that's for sure.